From our Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I am Ahmed Ramadan. New York Mayor cites migration of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, in immigration speech. This and more on today's show. Political tensions are rising ahead of the midterms as President Donald Trump doubles down on his call for a massive overhaul of the U.S. voting system. The move comes as President Trump repeats his claim that past elections were rigged, allegations consistently rejected by courts and officials. He is now demanding strict new voting rules. In a series of Truth Social posts, the president claimed the U.S. elections are a laughingstock and must be fixed to save the country. He demanded strict new voting rules and urged Republicans to back what he calls Save America Act. Trump said the plan would require voter identification, proof of U.S. citizenship, and limit on mail-in ballots. He has proposed allowing mail voting only for illness, disability, military duty, or travel. He also said voter ID rules have broad support, including among Democratic voters. But voting rights experts warn the legislation could disenfranchise up to 21 million eligible Americans who lack immediate access to passports or birth certificates. Trump recently suggested Republicans should nationalize voting systems in several locations. Democratic leaders have strongly rejected the idea. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries accused Trump of trying to steal elections and said Democrats would block any such moves. A new investigation into campaign finance is raising questions about how anti-Palestine political funding is being routed in key Illinois Democratic primary races. Dropsite News reports that the American-Israeli Public Affairs Committee, or AIPAC, is using increasingly sophisticated methods to support candidates in Democratic primaries. The investigation examined donation records in Illinois races. It found dozens of past AIPAC-linked donors contributing to the same candidates, often on the same day and for identical amounts. According to the report, more than 200 donors had ties to AIPAC or its affiliated Super Political Action Committee, or Super PAC. It gave hundreds of thousands of dollars to two Democratic candidates. The report also says AIPAC-funded Super PAC ads avoided mentioning Israel and instead highlighted generic biographical details. AIPAC has not publicly commented on the findings. The report says similar tactics have been used in other states during competitive primaries. Republican candidates in Texas are using anti-Islam messages in television ads ahead of the March primary election. Several contenders have promised to crack down on what they call Islamification of the state, a phrase often found in extremist and anti-Muslim conspiracy theories. Candidate for Attorney General Aaron Cites said in one ad that Islam is not compatible with Western civilization. He warned of alleged and imaginary attempts to impose religious law. Experts and election officials confirm there is no evidence of any attempts to impose religious law in Texas. State Senator Charles Schwartner also pledged to deport those he described as followers of radical Islam. Texas is home to about 313,000 Muslims, one of the largest Muslim populations in the United States. Community leaders say the rhetoric is creating fear. Shaima Zayan of the Council on American Islamic Relations, or CARE, says the language is dehumanizing and targeting a religious minority for political gain could provoke violence. She notes that Muslims have long contributed to American society and make up about 1% of the U.S. population. The ads coincide with a new legal push by Attorney General Ken Paxton to ban CARE from operating in Texas. CARE has dismissed the lawsuit as a publicity stunt, noting they have already defeated similar state challenges 3 times in court. New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani invoked a key moment in Islamic history while speaking about immigration at an interfaith breakfast on Friday. He told the gathering that Islam is a faith rooted in a story of migration. Mamdani referred to the Hijrah, when Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, moved from Mecca to Medina in the Arabian Peninsula to escape persecution. The mayor said the episode teaches humanity, compassion and the duty to protect those in danger. He also announced a new executive order aimed at protecting immigrant communities, which restricts federal immigration enforcement on city property. Under the directive, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, officers will need a judicial warrant to enter city facilities. The mayor said the goal is to ensure all residents can access city services without fear, regardless of their immigration status. He added that no New Yorker should hesitate to seek childcare, health, or other services because of their identity. U.S. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries is demanding an apology from President Donald Trump after a racist video was shared on Trump's social media account. The video depicted former President Barack Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama as apes. Jeffries called the post disgusting and said it was widely condemned across the country. He praised a few Republicans who, in his words, showed some backbone by criticizing the president. The video appeared at the end of a post on Trump's Truth Social platform. It repeated his own unproven claims of voter fraud. The short clip showed the Obamas' faces on apes' bodies, echoing racist stereotypes, while a song from the film The Lion King played. The White House claimed a staff member posted the video and later removed it. But Trump refused to apologize, saying he did nothing wrong. Republican Senator Roger Wicker also called the video totally unacceptable and urged the president to apologize. An 18-month-old toddler was returned to a U.S. immigration detention center after surviving a life-threatening illness. According to a federal court filing, the girl, identified as Amalia, became critically ill while being held with her parents at a detention facility in Texas. She was rushed to a children's hospital in San Antonio on January 18 with pneumonia, COVID-19, RSV, and severe breathing problems. Lawyers said she was close to death. After 10 days in intensive care, doctors discharged her with strict instructions for daily breathing treatments and medicines. But the lawsuit says detention staff confiscated her medication and equipment when she returned to the facility. Medical experts warned that she faced a high risk of death without treatment. After an emergency court filing, Amalia and her family were released on Friday. Israel's power grab in the occupied West Bank sparks global condemnation. Details coming up after the break. Welcome back. Israel's security cabinet has approved sweeping measures to expand its authority across the occupied West Bank, drawing sharp international criticism. The decision will make it easier for Israeli settlers to target and seize Palestinian land and expands Israeli administrative powers in the occupied territory, stripping power from the Palestinian Authority. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas called the move dangerous, illegal, and equal to de facto annexation. He urged President Donald Trump and the UN Security Council to intervene. Hamas has called on Palestinians in the West Bank to intensify resistance against Israeli forces and settlers. 8 Islamic countries, Saudi Arabia, Jordan, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Indonesia, Pakistan, Egypt, and Turkey have condemned the measures. In a joint statement, they said the decisions aim to impose unlawful Israeli sovereignty, expand settlements, and accelerate annexation. They warned the policies would fuel violence and undermine the two-state solution. The European Union also criticized the move, calling it another step in the wrong direction. Dozens of Palestinians have returned to Gaza through the Rafah crossing with Egypt, reuniting with relatives after months of separation. 41 Palestinians entered Gaza late Sunday during a limited reopening of the main border crossing with Egypt. Families waited for hours outside Nasser Hospital in the southern city of Khan Yunis. A United Nations escorted bus brought the returnees from the border. Relatives rushed forward, hugging and crying as they reunited. It also helped evacuate 22 patients and 31 companions from Gaza to Egypt in recent days. While the reunions were marked by relief, returnees are arriving in a region where over 90% of the infrastructure has been destroyed by Israeli forces. The World Health Organization reports that while some are returning, the medical needs inside Gaza are catastrophic. The agency says more aid, medical supplies, and repairs to damaged hospitals remain urgent. A U.S.-backed ceasefire between Israel and Hamas was announced in October, following 2 years of Israeli genocide that killed nearly 72,000... Wait, I don't want to say nearly killed. Can we... A U.S.-backed ceasefire between Israel and Hamas was announced in October, following 2 years of Israeli genocide that killed over 72,000 Palestinians and wounded more than 171,000. The Palestinian Health Ministry says Israeli violations since the ceasefire have killed hundreds more. Heavy rains has flooded hundreds of tents in Syria's Idlib countryside. Displaced families are now without shelter in the middle of winter. A nearby river overflowed after days of rain. Emergency teams began evacuations. Authorities say more than 10 camps were hit, damaging or destroying approximately 300 tents. Local officials ordered an urgent response. Aid groups are trying to protect families and provide basic supplies. Winter storms and rising prices already have strained camp life. Fuel is scarce and services are limited. Hundreds of thousands of displaced Syrians live in temporary camps across Idlib and northern Syria. Their conditions worsen each winter as rain, cold, and poverty deepen the humanitarian crisis. The Indian Coast Guard has intercepted 3 oil tankers off the coast of Mumbai, labeling them part of an international smuggling syndicate. The Coast Guard said the ships were intercepted about 100 nautical miles west of Mumbai after tech-based surveillance and data analysis. Officials say the network used mid-sea transfers in international waters to move low-cost oil and avoid duties. The vessels are being escorted to Mumbai for legal action. While India's official statement focused on duty evasion, tracking firms note all 3 ships were blacklisted by the U.S. last year for transporting Iranian crude oil. The operation follows a massive trade deal signed on Saturday, where the U.S. lowered tariffs on Indian goods after New Delhi promised to stop buying Russian oil. The White House has now instituted a monitoring mandate to track India's energy imports, a move some analysts are calling economic coercion. The seizures also coincide with a new executive order from President Trump imposing a 25% tariff on any country that does business with Iran. The seizures also coincide with a new executive order from President Trump imposing 25% tariff on any country that does business with Iran, raising tensions across the region. Bangladesh's Election Commission has issued strict security orders to prevent Rohingya refugees from taking part in national elections set for February 12th. Authorities say intelligence reports warned of possible misuse of refugee populations during the vote. Nearly 130 million voters will cast ballots across 299 constituencies. Polling will take place at about 43,000 centers nationwide. More than 1.1 million Rohingya refugees live in camps near the city of Cox's Bazar. Officials say some may have obtained forged identity documents. Security forces will remain deployed from February 8th to 14th. Refugees will not be allowed to leave the camps during this period. Checkpoints, patrols, and identity checks have been intensified. Social gatherings, vehicle movement, and campaign activities inside the camps have been suspended. Authorities also warned political parties against using refugees for campaigning or fake voting. Officials say more than 943,000 security personnel will be deployed nationwide to maintain order during the polls. The Philippine Central Bank has eased rules to expand Islamic banking services. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas says all categories of banks can now offer Sharia-compliant services. The move is aimed at boosting participation in financial inclusion. Under the new rules, conventional banks can open Islamic banking units if they meet capital requirements. They will no longer need a separate capital pool. Instead, they can use the parent bank's existing capital framework. The change lowers financial barriers for banks entering the Islamic finance sector. The central bank also will introduce a 3-year observation period. This will help banks adjust to new reporting systems and requirements. Islamic banking units will not have to file separate liquidity reports. They can include them in the bank's overall reports. Central Bank Governor Eli Ramalona said the reforms will attract more players and support inclusive economic growth. Scientists say leftovers from sunflower oil production could help make bread healthier and more sustainable. Researchers tested a byproduct called partially defatted sunflower seed flour. They replaced part of regular wheat flour with it in bread recipes. The result was bread with much higher protein, fiber, and antioxidant levels. At the highest level tested, protein content rose to more than 27%, compared with about 8% in regular bread. Scientists also found signs the bread could slow the digestion of starches and fats, which may help with blood sugar control. The sunflower flour is made from oil processing leftovers. Researchers say it is cheap, safe, and reduces food waste. That's all from our Toronto studios. Thank you for watching Muslim News. We are a community channel dedicated to bringing you stories you can trust. Please like, share, and subscribe to our content. You can also comment to let us know what you think of our coverage. You can donate now by visiting muslimnetwork.tv/donate. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV. Salam.